So, dear colleagues, we can now start our questions and answers sessions. I will open the floor for the first round of questions from group coordinators or other group representatives, and it will be in ping-pong formats, which means question, answer, with 2 minutes for the question and 2 minutes for the answers. And please, when you pose a question, you can also specify who it is directed to. If it is directed to representatives of Amazon, I will give the floor to Mr. Sapolsky, joining us remotely. Great. So we will start with Mr. Radke from the EPP.
Ja, vielen Dank, Frau Vorsitzende. Ich werde auf Deutsch sprechen. Ganz herzlich. Is it working? Lee? Funktioniert die Übersetzung?
Yes.
Super.
Yes.
Also, Frau Vorsitzende, ganz herzlichen Dank auch an die Vertreter Amazon, auch Vertreter des Betriebsrats der Gewerkschaften. Bin froh, dass dieser Austausch hier endlich zustande kommt. Und nein, wir müssen nicht pausenlos zurückschauen. Es bringt auch nichts. In erster Linie sollte man nach vorne schauen. Aber ich bin schon einigermaßen irritiert, dass nach einem solch langen Vorlauf, nach so viel hin und her, die Zugangsausweise zum Parlament sind Amazon entzogen worden. Dazu gibt es eine lange Geschichte. Das Miteinander mit dem Ausschuss war nicht gut. Die Reise nach Polen wurde abgesagt und so weiter. Ich bin schon einigermaßen erstaunt, dass das in den Ausführungen der Amazon-Vertreter hier nicht einmal eine Erwähnung gefunden hat. Das finde ich irritierend. Und natürlich, wenn man jetzt auch auf die Situation schaut, in meinem Heimatland in Deutschland, gibt es Punkte, wo ich sage, Amazon als Arbeitgeber, ich habe auch Respekt davor, dass sie vielen auch eine Chance geben, die an anderen Stellen auf dem Arbeitsmarkt gar keine Chance mehr bekommen. Das finde ich fair und korrekt. Aber auf der anderen Seite muss ich sagen, finde ich es nach wie vor irritierend, dass ein solcher Global Player wie Amazon, die es sich auch leisten können, ich meine, das ist ja auch die unternehmerische Entscheidung der Familie Trump, 40 Millionen Euro vor die Füße zu legen für einen völlig sinnlosen Film, den niemand sehen will. In London sind 3 Karten verkauft worden, habe ich heute gelesen. Ja, am Folgetag 2, ganz wichtig. Also wir wollen ja immer korrekt bleiben. Aber dass man im Umkehrschluss dann nicht bereit ist, mit der zuständigen Gewerkschaft in Deutschland wenigstens Verhandlungen über einen Tarifvertrag aufzunehmen. Also bei meinem Besuch in einem Amazon Warehouse in meinem Wahlkreis habe ich Wert darauf gelegt, dass zu diesem Termin auch Vertreter des Betriebsrates eingeladen werden. Das hat man mir zugesagt. Und als der Termin dann stattgefunden hat, war irgendjemand krank, jemand anders im Urlaub. Angeblich hatte niemand Zeit. Und das muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen, finde ich schlicht und ergreifend irritierend. Und das ist kein korrektes Miteinander. Und da würde ich gern von den Vertretern von Amazon was zu hören. Danke.
Thank you, and then I'll give the floor to Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you very much for the question. First of all, Amazon is committed to its engagement with the European Parliament. We're happy to be here, and I regret I wasn't able to be there in person today, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak directly with you. We regularly participate in hearings and meetings organized by the European Parliament and other institutions. For example, the recent working group on the Digital Markets Act, and we remain committed to engaging in balanced, constructive dialogue on issues that affect the European citizens. We also reiterate our invitation to come see our facilities. We would welcome you back to our facilities or any of the facilities that we have across the EU. In the past year, we've hosted over 2,000 lawmakers, local officials, legislators, and regulators in our facilities, and we strive to make those visits informative, and we strive to make it possible for you to speak to workers at the facilities. And it's easy for me to say that we strive to create great jobs in safe, secure, welcoming facilities. But when you actually see them, it really changes your perspective. I'm going to ask Steph Perego to follow up with specifics regarding your question.
So let me, Madam Chair.
Yes, there's still time left, so please, if you want to add.
Yeah, I'd like to add very quickly that our reference point are work councils, and work councils represent trade unions member and non-trade unions member elected by people within our facilities. And we do have relationship in Europe with 270 different employee representative bodies representing 2,500 trade unions and non-trade unions workers. We do sit down regularly with unions. We do sit down regularly on negotiations where CBAs apply. The fact that we do not do that is a misconception.
Thank you. And next question is from the S&D, Mrs. Kellermans.
Merci, Présidente. Je vais parler en français, donc je vous laisse le temps de mettre les écouteurs. Alors, travaille dur, amuse-toi, écris l'histoire. 3 injonctions qui sont inscrites au fronton des entrepôts Amazon. Et selon la phrase consacrée, toute ressemblance avec des faits réels serait purement fortuite. Ce qui est sûr, c'est que les travailleurs et les travailleuses d'Amazon travaillent dur. Pour ce qui est de s'amuser ou d'écrire l'histoire, c'est bien autre chose. Et les témoignages recueillis sont sans appel. C'est le pire système de travail que j'ai connu. Le harcèlement et la pression font partie du quotidien, où les objectifs sont tellement élevés que c'est inhumain et que nous évitons de boire pour ne pas aller aux toilettes. Donc une réalité confirmée dans un récent reportage de la RAI qui décrit une surveillance intrusive dégradante où les travailleurs sont poursuivis jusque dans les toilettes. Sans parler de la gestion et de la surveillance du travail par des systèmes algorithmiques, gestes répétitifs, chronométrés, rythme intenable, bip et injonctions permanentes, avec des conséquences graves sur la santé physique et mentale. Non-déclaration des accidents de travail, travailleurs parfois poussés jusqu'à l'épuisement malgré leurs plaintes, voire jusqu'à leur décès, comme ça a été le cas en Allemagne lors du dernier Black Friday. Donc, Monsieur Zapolewski, avez-vous des arguments pour réfléchir notre perception de ce qu'il est convenu d'appeler le système Amazon? D'autant plus que les pratiques antisyndicales, le refus de laisser entrer responsables politiques, voire les inspections du travail sous couvert de confidentialité de vos pratiques, donnent à penser que dans beaucoup de vos entrepôts sont vraiment des zones de non-droit. Sans parler des sous-traitants, avec des livreurs poussés à travailler à perte et des contrats résiliés parfois via SMS. Monsieur Zapolewski, Amazon fait du business et des profits colossaux en Europe, mais Amazon est-elle prête à respecter les règles du jeu, nos valeurs, nos traités et notre droit? Combien de vos travailleurs, sur les 150 000 dont vous parlez, sont-ils couverts par le droit à la négociation collective en Europe et donc vraiment couverts? Et quelles mesures comptez-vous mettre en place pour garantir le droit à la formation, à la consultation, à la négociation est réel? Quelles mesures comptez-vous adopter pour garantir le respect de la santé et de la sécurité au travail, y compris la santé mentale, avec des plans de prévention? Quelles mesures comptez-vous adopter pour limiter l'usage des algorithmes pour superviser et contrôler vos travailleurs? Et quelles mesures comptez-vous prendre pour assurer le respect de vos sous-traitants et la viabilité même de leur activité? Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. And then the floor to Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the question. Safety is our #1 priority, both in the EU and everywhere we have facilities in the world. And we, as Stefano Porrego pointed out, we commit tremendous resources, over 1,000 professionals whose full-time job is to think about safety, to improve the safety of our facilities. And we've made significant progress over the last 5 years in making them even safer. We are committed to creating quality jobs. And honestly, we couldn't possibly employ as many people as we do, 150,000 people in Europe, over the long term. And a significant portion of our employee workforce has been with us for many years, without ensuring that these jobs are safe, that they're welcoming, and that they're in facilities that people feel welcome at and want to come to every day. We engage with work councils. We absolutely cooperate with every labor inspector and every regulator that wants to work with us. We invite you personally to come to one of our fulfillment centers to see it, our commitment remains steadfast on that. So let me ask Stefano and Lucy if they can add more to my opening remarks.
Yes, Mrs. Cronin, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few additional comments from me. Thanks, David. I think it's very important to clarify that we do not use technology to monitor our employees. We use technology for safety, for security, and to locate our goods. And I think it's really important to make that very clear here today. As David mentioned, and I think Steph has also mentioned, again, we work with more than 270 employee representative bodies across the European Union, where we speak directly to our employee representatives. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And now the next group representative on my list is Mrs. Kim van Spalentak from the Greens. Please, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. Pity the other groups aren't here. Well, thank you so much. It has taken some years, but finally the senior management of Amazon has shown the willingness to appear in front of our committee. I was hoping actually that we would have a senior manager that could give us more answers than something they're reading and repeating from a screen, but maybe on my questions that can be happening. And because I think the previous hearings we've had already gave us a great overview of the appalling working conditions in Amazon warehouses, where the algorithm is ever driving up productivity targets, and also the lack of respect for trade unions, and also how we organize the labor market in Europe. So, dear Mr. Perego, could you please give us detailed explanation on how productivity targets are set? Would an Amazon warehouse worker meeting targets from, say, 2020 still be retained with today's goals? And would you be willing to give transparency to workers and trade unions on what parameters are used for setting these targets? And you mentioned that technology changes jobs and there's no plan to replace workers. So how do you then react to the New York Times reporting of October last year based on access to internal documents that eventually Amazon plans to automate 75% of jobs and to replace 600,000 jobs in the US through automation? What are your plans for Europe when it comes to automation? And dear Mr. Sapolsky, Amazon keeps telling us it respects EU rules. Yet the record shows a company that litigates, delays and dodges when those rules actually bite. You took the European Commission to court to escape your obligations under the DSA, and for the lack of respecting our data protection rules, Amazon was hit with a 746 million GDPR fine, the largest on record to date. And France's data protection agency also fined Amazon 15 million over excessive surveillance of workers. Surveillance, the thing you just denied. That doesn't sound like a company that respects EU rules to me. So here's my question. Why should an EU institution or any member state award Amazon any lucrative public contract, including cloud and digital infrastructure contracts, when Amazon's pattern is to fight EU digital law in court, rack up record sanctions, and then present itself as a trustworthy partner?
Thank you. And now we had questions both for Mr. Sapolsky and Mr. Perego. So maybe I start with Mr. Sapolsky.
And thank you for the question. We recognize it's a privilege to serve governments in Europe, and that in order to do that, we have to earn that privilege every day by providing top-line service, by providing the highest quality goods and services that we can, and we don't take that for granted. And we engage with many member state governments and with the European Commission in those engagements. We value the direct engagement that our managers and our management has with our employees throughout our employee network. We remain committed to creating quality jobs. We do recognize that employees can join unions, and they're obviously allowed to do so. So I'm going to ask, since we're limited time, I'm going to ask Stefan to respond to your specific question regarding productivity targets.
Yes, Mr. Perego.
Madam Chair, thank you. Honourable members, let me first address the productivity question. Productivity in our buildings is a parameter that is established through historical data and taking the performance of all the individuals that work in the buildings at an aggregate level. We take into consideration the tenure of the individuals, the mix of products the individuals are called to handle, the training they receive. And it will be foolish and uneconomical, to be very honest, not to work in improving the conditions and coaching the people to make a positive impact on the company. It is also important to stress that technology is a support to our workforce. In fact, as mentioned earlier on, we have a way above the average percentage of people that are women in our fulfillment center, 34% against the 21%. That is possible because technology supports that. Ultimately, when we come to attrition data, and when we have sector data, we are having an attrition level in logistics sector that is half the one of other companies. If I mention Poland, people with more than 2 years tenure in Poland are constituting 70% of our current workforce. We mentioned Germany. Over 5 years, there is more than 50% of the population that sticks to our environment because we offer quality jobs. Last, you mentioned the sentence of the CNIL. Now, CNIL clearly established that our warehouse management system is respecting regulation in terms of data protection in France and in EU. And it's industry standard to use warehouse management systems. The fine, the Conseil d'État or Council of State reduced the fine that you're mentioning to 12 million in December. And it was not referenced to the warehouse management system. Thank you.
Thank you. And next speaker is Mrs. Scheibe from the left.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Madame Cronin, Monsieur Zapolski, je suis très contente d'apprendre qu'on est invité à visiter les entrepôts d'Amazon, que vous avez reçu des centaines, voire des milliers, dites-vous, de visiteurs dans vos entrepôts, parce que les dernières fois, moi, que j'ai tenté d'aller visiter un entrepôt Amazon, on n'a pas été bien reçus. En France, quand on est député, on a le droit de rentrer dans les prisons. Eh bien, je peux vous dire qu'aujourd'hui, quand on est député, c'est plus facile de rentrer dans une prison que dans un entrepôt Amazon. Donc, je prends au mot votre invitation. Et d'ailleurs, il faut rappeler que si on a suspendu les badges des lobbyistes d'Amazon, si ces badges ont été désactivés, c'est justement parce qu'une mission était prévue. Notre commission emploi affaires sociales devait aller en mission visiter un entrepôt Amazon et vous avez refusé 2 semaines avant la mission. Vous avez annulé cette mission. C'était la goutte d'eau de trop qui a fait que ces badges ont été désactivés et les précédentes gouttes qui ont fait déborder le vase, c'était lorsqu'à plusieurs reprises nous avons invité la S-Team, la Senior Management Team d'Amazon, ici à cette audition, à cette commission et qu'elle a refusé. Alors je suis contente de voir Monsieur Zapolski aujourd'hui qui est là. Il a vraiment très envie de récupérer ses badges pour être présent aujourd'hui. Je regrette que Monsieur Zapolski, vous vous cachiez derrière un écran et vous soyez en ligne et que vous n'ayez pas pris la peine de prendre un avion pour venir vous voir. Et si vous aviez pris un avion, peut-être vous vous seriez rendu compte qu'ici en Europe, eh bien, il y a un droit du travail, il y a des conventions collectives, il y a un droit d'association et il y a le droit d'appartenir à un syndicat. Et contrairement à ce qui a été dit par la direction d'Amazon, on entend tous les jours des travailleurs témoigner des entraves à la liberté syndicale. Aujourd'hui, il y a une dizaine de travailleurs derniers mois qui viennent de l'entrepôt de Brétigny en région parisienne. Eh bien, ils sont mobilisés notamment contre les entraves au droit syndical. Alors mes questions, puisque j'en viens à ma question et je conclus, Madame la Présidente, qu'est-ce que vous faites pour valider, pour assurer l'exercice des droits syndicaux? Et ma deuxième question est très concrète parce que j'imagine que sur la première, je n'aurai pas de réponse concrète de M. Zapolski. Il a montré qu'il ne répondait pas. Donc c'est très concret. On a eu des révélations, permettez-moi une phrase. On a eu des révélations hier dans la presse italienne de l'existence d'une cellule qui s'appelle la Terra Team et qui serait chargée d'espionner, d'entraver la liberté syndicale, voire d'infiltrer les syndicats. Est-ce que vous condamnez les révélations de la presse italienne concernant ces faits, M. Zapolski? Merci.
I give the floor to Mr. Sapolsky.
Well, I'm not familiar with anything that resembles what you just described in Italy, so all I can really say is we value our engagement with employees. We're constantly looking for new ways of engaging our employees in direct dialogue. We obviously support their right to join unions. We work with works councils around the continent. I'm familiar with the way that Europe works. I visit there regularly. I've been here at Amazon for 26 years, and my in all the jobs I've had, my purview has included Europe, and so we continue to look for ways to create direct dialogue. We allow employees to engage their managers directly. We come up with new ways for employees to make suggestions to improve safety directly or anonymously, and we take those suggestions seriously. I'll ask Stefano to follow up with more specifics around the situations that you raised. But our commitment to creating a welcoming quality jobs and a welcoming facility for our workers is consistent.
And Mr. Berrego. Mrs. Cronin.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Madam Shaibi, I'm delighted that you've accepted the invitation, so I look forward to welcoming you to an FCR facility in the coming months. We were very pleased when you visited our fulfilment centre in Bove in 2020, and so I'm optimistic that we could have another positive visit in the coming months. I think it's important for this House to recognise that Amazon provided 2 months' notice, not 2 weeks' notice, when we were unable to facilitate the arranged visit for the committee. Why that was? Well, the request was made for during peak time, and anyone who knows anything about the logistics industry knows that that is an incredibly busy time for our employees and our colleagues in fulfilment centre, and the last thing we wanted to do was to apply additional pressure to them when they are working during peak time. So again, very happy, Madame Shaibi, to accept your presence at one of our FCs, of course, and I look forward to doing that in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, and we move on to the second round of questions. We still have ample group representatives, and we are continuing with the ping-pong format, so question and answer, but it's preferably 1 minute for the question, 2 minutes for the answer, so we will have time. Starting with Mr. Arimont from EPP.
Ja, vielen Dank, sehr geehrte Frau Vorsitzende. Ich bin jetzt seit 11 Jahren in diesem Parlament und habe schon viele Anhörungen mitgemacht. Ich habe aber so ein bisschen das Gefühl, dass, wenn man heute die Antworten hört, man entweder das Gefühl hat, es handelt sich um einen Werbefilm, die Antwort, die man kriegt, oder man hat das Gefühl, dass man in einem Strafprozess ist und der Angeklagte sich auf sein Recht nicht zu antworten beruft, um sich nicht zu beschuldigen. So, das ist so ein bisschen das Gefühl, was ich hier habe. Es gibt diese Berichte, unter anderem die Analyse live in die Amazon Panopticon aus dem Jahre 2023, wo man genau diese Dinge, die eben hier angesprochen worden sind, auch beschreibt, diese Überwachung und Leistungsüberwachungssysteme des Unternehmens. Es gibt quasi die Entscheidung der französischen Datenschutzbehörde aus dem Jahre 2024 mit der Geldstrafe von 32 Millionen. Das wurde scheinbar ein wenig verringert, aber nicht aufgelöst. Und dennoch habe ich das Gefühl, dass man auf diese konkreten Argumente überhaupt nicht eingeht. Eine Analyse aus dem Jahre 2025, und da komme ich zu meiner Frage, ergab, und das ist sehr interessant, dass die Rate schwerer Verletzungen bei Amazon fast doppelt so hoch sind wie in vergleichbaren Lagern, die nicht zu Amazon gehören. Daher meine Frage, die direkt an Amazon geht: Wie erklären Sie sich das? Wenn doch bei Ihnen alles in Ordnung wäre, müssten doch diese Zahlen nicht stimmen. Und zweitens, in Belgien arbeitet Amazon mit ganz vielen Subunternehmern, um die Dinge auszufahren. Ich kenne das selbst. Und diese Lieferfahrzeuge sind in desolatem Zustand. Das ist meiner Meinung nach eine Form von Sozialdumping. Wie überprüfen Sie direkt diese Qualitätsstandards der beschäftigten Subunternehmer? Und so haben Sie nicht auch das Gefühl, dass es sich nicht wirklich um Subunternehmer handelt, weil sie genau das machen müssen, was Amazon ihnen vorgibt? Und sind wir da nicht in einer versteckten Form von Unselbstständigkeit? Vielen Dank.
And Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you for the question. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would start by reiterating the comments that my colleague made. The CNIL decision that you referred to was changed. CNIL most recently, as of December, recognized that what we do in our warehouses is in no way violative of the GDPR or employees' rights. So that is the most updated information on that. As Lucy Cronin said, Amazon doesn't use technology to monitor workers. That's simply a misconception. And Amazon uses technology, first and foremost, to improve the safety of our jobs, and secondly, to make sure that our jobs are secure and that we are adequately tracking packages and that that our facilities are safe and secure. Since I only have 2 minutes, I'm going to ask Stefano to follow up with specifics about the rest of your question.
Mr. Perego.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We employ delivery service provider for transportation like many other companies do. Those are third parties, and we ask them to apply a code of conduct in the way they engage with their workforce. We do not want them to use subcontractors. In fact, if I take Italy, for example, the people are part of the logistics CBA for those third-party delivery service providers. We ask them to respect the safety, the wages, and the right to pause for their drivers. That is a code of conduct we ask them to adhere to when we engage in a contract. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mrs. Bischoff from the SD.
Ich würde gerne noch mal darauf zurückkommen. Guten Tag auf Frau Keulemanns Frage, wie viele Beschäftigte denn von Tarifverträgen erfasst werden. Sie hatten das nicht beantwortet und möchte gern zu meinen Fragen kommen. Man hat ja hier den Eindruck, dass das ein ideales Unternehmen ist, so wie das hier beschrieben ist. Werbefilm wurde gesagt. Das kontrastiert mit Erfahrungen, die ich habe. Zusammen mit Marc Angel haben wir zum Beispiel Betriebsräte aus ganz Deutschland getroffen, von Amazon, die von dem Arbeitsdruck berichtet haben und der Kontrolle. Wir haben ja auch immer entsprechende Medienaufmerksamkeit, wenn besondere Fälle in der Öffentlichkeit, Todarbeitsunfälle auftreten. Deshalb auch noch mal meine Frage: Wie viele Beschäftigte sind denn unbefristet bei Ihnen beschäftigt, und zwar direkt bei Ihnen angestellt von allen im Arbeits- und Gesundheitsschutz? Schaffen es andere große Unternehmen auch mit Sicherheitsbeauftragten ohne Überwachung einen besseren Arbeits- und Gesundheitsschutz hinzubekommen? Deshalb auch hier noch mal meine Frage eben tatsächlich zu Arbeitsunfällen etc. Und dann, was wir hören bei Krankmeldungen, dass die Menschen unter Druck gesetzt werden, dass ihnen gedroht wird, genauso wenn man eben monitort, wie viel sie trinken oder zur Toilette gehen. Und wir haben natürlich an ihren Standorten viele Menschen aus Drittstaaten, die besonders erpressbar sind, weil eben ihr Aufenthaltsstatus an den Job geknüpft ist. Also auch hier nochmal meine Frage, empirische Daten zu haben. Wir freuen uns über die Einladung. Wir sind ja schon lange da dran. Es wurde gesagt, wir bohren hier schon seit Jahren. Aber bedeutet auch, dass wir mit Management und Betriebsräten sprechen wollen an verschiedenen Standorten, um uns selber ein gutes Bild zu machen.
And next, the floor to Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you again for the question. I'm not going to tell you that Amazon is perfect. I don't think any company or any institution is perfect. We have work to do to continue to improve, and we are striving to do that every day. It's what we've been doing for the last 26 years since I've been here, and we are absolutely committed to constantly improving the quality of our jobs, the sites that we build, the technology that we use. We do not use technology to surveil or monitor employees, as you described. We use it to ensure the safe and secure movement of employees and packages through our systems, through our facilities. We recognize employees' right to join unions. We have employees all over the continent that are represented by works councils, and perhaps my colleagues can provide more detail about that.
Thank you. And Mr. Perego, and I think specifically this question on the collective bargaining coverage has been raised several times.
Thank you, Madam Chair. honorable member, as I mentioned earlier on, there are countries where there are contractual bargaining agreements in place. Notably, in Italy, the logistics CBA applies. In France, where a CBA applies. In Spain, that differs by region, but the CBA applies. Ultimately, we prefer a direct engagement with our workforce. Ultimately, it is a choice of every single person. You mentioned work councils. Within the work councils, there are trade union members and non-trade union members, and they are elected by the people that work in a specific site. You mentioned surveillance and pace of work and open-ended contracts. In reality, the 150,000 people mentioned are on permanent contracts, and we use temporary contracts, not open-ended, but with a fixed term period for seasonality reasons. And they are more or less 10 to 15% of our total workforce, and they apply in peak period. Finally, when we talk about recordable incident rates or health and safety, those are measures that can be inspected, and where we have data related to the industry, we are better than the industry average. There aren't too many countries that offer industry data, but the ones where we have data in Europe, we can compare and we can say that we are better than industry average. Last, allow me on refugees. We are proud of the work we are doing and the commitment to hire more than reach 5,000 refugees hired in our facilities. We think they have the right and the dignity to work with us. Thank you.
Thank you. And for this round, my next group representatives is Mrs. van Sparentak from the Greens.
Thank you. Yes, some of my questions weren't answered, so happy to do that. I would find it strange, actually, that Amazon doesn't monitor workers, because monitoring is really not a problem as such. It, of course, becomes a problem when monitoring becomes excessive surveillance. So I'm really curious to get more clarification on the monitoring systems that would or wouldn't be in place. So how do you know that workers do or do not meet productivity targets if they're not being monitored? Do they report orally to managers? Is the evaluation of worker performance based on data or not? And yeah, in general, I think if you talk about the productivity target being based on historical data, I think this is exactly what can contribute to a rat race. If always the least productive workers are not retained, historical data evolves to ever higher productivity targets. And therefore, I would also repeat my question. Would you be willing to give transparency to workers and trade unions on what parameters are used for setting these targets? Thank you.
And Mr. Sapolsky, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll start by reiterating once again what I think is a misconception. It's a misconception about our technology. Amazon doesn't use technology to monitor. We use technology to ensure safe operations, to ensure that packages are getting where they're supposed to be. And in terms of how we measure productivity, we do that in ways that are fairly industry standard. Perhaps Mr. Perego and Lucy can add more detail about the systems that we do use.
Mr. Perego.
Madam Chair, honorable member, as I mentioned earlier on, when we establish productivity targets, we establish them in terms of historical data, tenure, training, and type of products that are handling. We do establish expectation, of course, like every other company establishes expectation. But we do not use, as you are saying, this type of information to create any rat race. It will be foolish and uneconomical to lose workers that we are training and making sure that can meet their expectation. Warehouse management systems are in industry standards. Ours do not differ from that. And we have multiple studies that prove that we don't do anything different from warehouse management systems applied by many other organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. And next I have Mr. Clausen from the left.
Thank you. I speak in Danish. Jeg skal bare være helt sikker på, at jeg har forstået det rigtigt. Jeres synspunkt er, at I ikke vil indgå kollektive overenskomster, fordi I mener, at det er en individuel sag. Dermed har I jo klart sagt, at I ikke respekterer den model, vi har for arbejdsmarkedet i Europa. Mener I så stadigvæk, det vil være rimeligt, at I får opgaver for offentlige virksomheder, sådan at I bruger skatteydernes penge på at undergrave de europæiske arbejdsmarkedsforhold? Det er det første spørgsmål. Det andet er det en almindelig led i jeres virksomhed, i jeres samarbejde med fagforeninger og medarbejdere, at I gør det, som vi har gjort i Italien, hvor man spionerer på fagforeningsmøder og sikrer, at der kommer rapporter tilbage om, hvad der er sagt og gjort til ledelsen af virksomheden?
Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you very much. First of all, as I said before, we have to compete with many other companies for every customer, including governments and public customers. We can do that. We have to earn that privilege, and we do earn it by providing goods and services that are as good as or better than our competitors. And we don't take that for granted. We know we have to, in order to do that, we have to offer safe, quality jobs in every country that we do business, and we strive to do that. I'm not familiar with the Italian incident that you're referring to, and I'll ask Lucy or Stefano to elaborate if they can provide more detail on that.
Mrs. Cronin.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Madam Chairman. I can only provide more detail to say that we do not spy on trade unions. Thank you.
And then we also have Mrs. Malone from the ECR, please, for this round. The floor is yours.
Dziękuję bardzo, Pani Przewodnicząca. Ja wprawdzie od początku nie byłam, za co przepraszam, bo byłam na Komisji PETI. Natomiast wielokrotnie przedstawiciele Amazona wskazują, jak propracownicze podejście reprezentuje firma. Tymczasem w Państwa magazynach to, co słyszymy z drugiej strony, wyznaczane są takie normy, które są niemożliwe do osiągnięcia przez pracowników. Sztuczna inteligencja zamiast wspierać i służyć człowiekowi jest w ocenie pracowników wykorzystywana przeciwko nim. Pracownicy są poddawani ogromnej presji, nadzorowi. Według danych, które przedstawiają związki zawodowe, 44% pracowników rezygnuje z przysługującej im przerwy w pracy, aby osiągnąć wyznaczone cele. Trudno więc tutaj mówić także o stabilności zatrudnienia, gdyż umowy są głównie umowami na czas określony, a więc pracownik po zakończeniu takiej umowy tak naprawdę zostaje z niczym. Przykład obecnej tutaj pani Marii, która w sądzie wygrała, jednak pokazuje, że ta sytuacja, troska o kapitał ludzki, który jest najważniejszy w każdej firmie, no chyba nie jest zadowalająca. I chciałabym zapytać, jak to jest możliwe, że w firmie o międzynarodowej marce pracownik po 10 latach pracy otrzymuje 6,5 euro za godzinę. Jeżeli to nie jest prawdą, to proszę też o sprostowanie. Dlaczego nie ma mowy o podwyżkach, dodatkach za staż pracy, o tym, żeby premiować pracowników? Czy Państwo chcecie być firmą rzeczywiście konkurencyjną, także oczywiście wymagającą od pracowników, ale żeby była ta rekompensata w postaci godnego wynagrodzenia? Praca powinna dawać każdemu człowiekowi poczucie godności i stabilizacji. Dlatego chciałabym przypomnieć, że to jest najważniejsze w kreowaniu wizerunku firmy, a wielokrotnie w różnych reklamach słyszymy, jak Amazon zachęca do pracy u siebie, natomiast prawa pracownicze, prawa związkowe w ocenie pracowników i informacji, które dochodzą, jednak nie wyglądają tak kolorowo, co jest bardzo przykre. Dziękuję bardzo.
Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for recognizing me, Madam Chair. Let me talk a little bit about AI because it's all over the news. Amazon has worked with machine learning and robotics and technologies like AI for as long as I've been here, and that's more than 20 years. And every time we've used technology in our fulfillment centers, in our facilities, we've used it to improve the quality of the jobs. We use them to make the jobs safer, and we use them to make the jobs easier, and we provide even more transparency with them. And I think most employees would agree with that. We're excited by the opportunity that AI presents to continue doing that and to work with our employees, alongside our employees, to look for ways to continue improving those jobs. It's not the case that 44% of employees don't take their breaks. That's just, I think, a misconception. It's not the case that all of our employees are on fixed-term contracts. Mr. Perego just mentioned that the 150,000 employees that we have across the continent are permanent full-time employees. It's not the case that our hourly wages are substandard. In fact, we pay up to 12% more than the minimum wage or the collective bargaining agreement were applicable in EU countries, and our employees receive excellent benefits. So I'll invite Ms. Cronin and Mr. Perego to chime in. But we're proud of the jobs that we create. We look forward to continuing to work alongside of our employees to use technology to keep improving them, improving those jobs.
Mr. Perego?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief. The 6.5 euros, I think, is an outdated figure. If you're referring to Poland, we pay 33 Polish zloty, and we pay 5% above the minimum wage in Poland. We also offer, on top of this, excellent benefit. We have private health coverage. We have health insurance. And we do offer subsidized meals and transportation to our Polish workforce. We also, just to conclude, I think we also do not recognize what you mentioned on breaks at all, and it will be good to go visit a facility and show you exactly during a break what happens. That will be, it will be my pleasure to go wherever you want and see that. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for the next round, I already have on my list members. Lexman, Danielson, Arvanitis, Saharova, Ondrush, Angel. Are there other members who wish to take the floor? You are both already on the list. So we will continue with the ping-pong format because there is still time. So around a minute for the question and 2 minutes for the answer, starting with Mrs. Lexman from the EPP.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the representatives of the Amazon to accept our invitation, also the representatives of trade unions. I actually appreciate that Mr. Zapolsky did not fly over the half of the globe for a 2 hours meeting because the CO2 footage will be too high, and I think this was more environmental friendly solution. But I have a question. AI was mentioned a couple of times, and we do know that AI will have an enormous impact on social well-being of people and the future of workers. And I would like to ask the Amazon representatives, what do you do in order when you know that some jobs will have to be replaced, because of course AI will replace some workers. So is there any programs that you prepare workers for this change so it doesn't have impact on their well-being? Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you. And thank you very much for that question. First of all, I don't think anybody at Amazon or anywhere knows if and the extent to which AI is actually going to displace jobs. And in the short term, it seems likely, based on the way the technology is being used, that it actually won't materially affect the fulfillment centers and logistics business that we're mostly talking about here today. And so, we continue to look for ways to creatively improve those jobs and use the technology. But I don't think it's fair to say that everybody thinks the jobs will go away. In fact, as Mr. Perego said in his opening statement, our experience has been that when we introduce new technology, like conveyor belts or robotics, it actually creates new types of jobs. Last fall, we announced a program called AI AI ready, where we are committing over $2 billion around the world to training programs that will equip our employees and others throughout our communities where we live and work with AI skills. We've already trained millions of people in AI skills. We're developing new ones. We have programs that enable, the biggest one is employee choice, career choice, which enables employees who work in our logistics business to get post-secondary education at our expense in a number of different types of technical and high-skilled and high-demand skills that will enable them to get other better-paying jobs both at Amazon and elsewhere. And we found that to be successful. We've been doing that for over a dozen years. I'll ask Lucy, maybe can give a little flavor on our employee upskilling and training in Europe.
Mrs. Cronin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, David. Yes, so to answer your question, and thank you for it, there are many things that we do in the scenario that you painted. So we work with impacted employees to ensure, you know, whether, for example, to explore with them whether there are retention opportunities for them. We work with them to secure new employment. We provide them, obviously, with I think they're called outpaths, so in other words, a journey during which they are supported to find other roles elsewhere. But I would also say that we work across EU27 with quite a few of the national employment and re-employment agencies. So, for example, I'll finish up. Thank you, Madam Chair. For example, ADEM in Luxembourg would be one that I'm very familiar with, that we work very closely with that agency to help the transition, if you like, of people impacted by job losses. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mr. Danielsson.
Thank you, Chair. Basically, after 1.5 hours, I have one question. The question is, can you commit to negotiate and conclude collective agreements for your workplaces throughout Europe? It's a simple question. I can help you avoid some of the wrong answers. I don't want to hear about Works Council, that you respect the right to join a union. I'm glad you respect basic rights. But the question is, can you commit to negotiate and conclude collective agreements? Because to have not to do it, it's non-European. This is the basic problem. The difference between respecting the law, it's okay, but you should also negotiate and conclude collective agreements. And perhaps otherwise our trade union representatives here can explain the difference. Because I think the preference to talk to workers directly and all this other nonsense that we are hearing, it's not enough. In Europe, we negotiate, we conclude collective agreement, and that's the way we protect workers' rights and ensure democracy at the workplace. So I think this is the one and only question I would like to have answered by you. Thank you.
And Mr. Sapolsky. Mr. Sapolsky, please.
Thank you for sharing your perspective. I would only reiterate what I've said before, is that we respect the right of employees to join unions. We value individual interaction and connection and communication with management, between employees and management. And we will work cooperatively with the works councils and other bodies that employees choose to join.
Any additional comments?
I'm happy to add to that and to provide a little bit of clarification, if I may, Madam Chair. So there are many examples of where I think when you talk about collective bargaining, you're also alluding to the misconception that we do not engage or do not talk with unions at all across the European Union, and that's simply not correct. So, for example, we have monthly engagements with CGT and CFDT in France. We have monthly engagements with Solidarity in Poland. We have regular meetings based on a protocol with trade unions in Italy. So there are many examples of where we may not have a collective bargaining arrangement, but we certainly, nor is it correct to say that we do not have any conversations at all with unions. However, We are, as we have said many times today, and I will repeat it, we work with 270 employee representative bodies across the European Union. We engage and we discuss with our employees directly on that basis. The members of those councils are both trade union and non-trade union affiliated. That is therefore a mix, and we are very happy to continue to engage with our employee representative bodies. Thank you.
And next speaker is Mr. Alvanitis from the left.
Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Ξέρω την απάντηση ήδη. Ευχαριστώ πολύ για την ερώτηση και θα μας δώσετε μια άλλη απάντηση. Δεν θέλουμε να επισκεφθούμε τις εγκαταστάσεις σας. Σας παρακαλούμε όμως να μελετήσετε το ευρωπαϊκό νομικό πλαίσιο. Αυτό θα κάνετε πρώτα και μετά θα έρθουμε να δούμε και τις εγκαταστάσεις σας. Διότι αυτό που γίνεται εδώ είναι πραγματικά θέατρο του παραλόγου. Αυτή τη στιγμή προσβάλλεται ένα θεσμό. Προσβάλλεται την Ευρώπη. Εδώ δεν είναι ΗΠΑ. Εδώ είναι Ευρώπη. Εδώ έχουμε εργαζόμενους με δικαιώματα. Έχουμε συλλογικές συμβάσεις εργασίας και διαπραγματεύσεις. Το είπε ο συνάδελφος καθαρά. Ζητάμε συγκεκριμένη απάντηση και μας λέτε άλλα αντάλλα. Και βεβαίως, μην μιλήσω για απολύσεις, σήμερα γράφει ο τύπος πάλι για απολύσεις 16.000, 30.000 απολύσεις. Αλλά πάω στην ουσία του ζητήματος. Η ουσία του ζητήματος είναι σέβεστε την Ευρώπη. Σέβεστε τους ευρωπαϊκούς θεσμούς. Σέβεστε την ανθρώπινη και εργατική αξιοπρέπεια. Αν δεν σέβεστε, δεν έχετε θέση εδώ. Και χάσαμε ώρα εδώ, όλοι εμείς, που σας ακούμε υπομονετικά τόση ώρα, για μία δέσμευση. Συλλογικές συμβάσεις εργασίας, συλλογικές διαπραγματεύσεις.
Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you. Amazon is absolutely committed to our business in Europe. We've been here for more than 28 years. We have 150,000 employees, and we're proud of the business that we've built. We're in communities all around the continent, in almost every member state, and our operating model has been built alongside every single Amazonian employee that we have, and those investments and those employees are in cities, they're in rural areas, they often are people who have been unemployed before they could join Amazon, they are often migrants, and we're proud of those jobs. Our commitment to Europe, the over 200 billion that billion euro that we've invested over the last 15 years alone, we think stands as a testament to how much we value and respect Europe. Our European business is led out of Luxembourg. It's led by European executives, such as the ones that you have with you. And we are fundamentally a European company in Europe. And so our commitment to Europe will continue, and we will continue to strive to create those quality jobs. We'll continue to work directly with our employees to continue improving them.
Mrs. Cronin.
Thank you, Chair. I would just add to that, I think I understood the final part of that question around Amazon not engaging with institutions across EU27. So as the person that is responsible for engaging with institutions across EU27, I'd like to confirm that we do indeed engage as best we can as a company with national governments, regional governments, local governments, etc., etc. It is in our interests, it is in the interests of our small and medium-sized enterprises that we work with. It is in the interest of our employees, and it is in the interest of our customers that we engage in debate and in relationship building with institutions across the EU27, and we look forward to continuing to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And next speaker is Mr. Ondrush.
Thanks a lot, Madam Chair. Continuing the Johan's intervention, dear colleagues, I would like to share with you information that on 19th January, that means less than 10 days ago, Amazon Slovakia dismissed the leader of trade union shortly after announcing of its establishment in the company, even if it is clear violation of Slovak Labour Code. Mr. Jan Miserak has been fired at the day He came back to the work after a period of paternity leave. He worked as an analyst for the software team in the Slovak Amazon. He told media that he had been hearing complaints from colleagues about various problems in the company for a long time and had also perceived an atmosphere of fear. Amazon's communications department responded that Mr. Miserak's dismissal was part of a workforce optimization process that was to affect multiple positions across various areas of the company. Amazon calls it business decision made prior to the establishment of the trade union in accordance with Amazon's internal procedure. Just for your information, establishment of trade union has been announced in September. Mr. Miserak has been dismissed in November. Unfortunately, the case of Amazon is not unique in Slovakia. In the last 2 years, I worked on more than 10 similar cases when what represents a huge rise of such companies' behavior. Amazon did it despite the fact that all similar cases has been recognized as illegal by labor courts, and opposite there is no one court judgment in favor of employers. So finally, I can summarize that Amazon in Slovakia joins the group of multinationals behaving in Slovakia like in the colony, ignoring our labor law and disrespecting trade unions. Thanks a lot.
And Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you. Amazon operates throughout the continent, and so we absolutely understand we have to abide by and comply with the labor laws of every country where we do business, and we strive to do that. We strive to cooperate with local officials and with member state governments in order to make sure that we're operating in full compliance with every regulation and every provision of local law that applies to our facilities, and we intend to do that. With respect to the specific situation that you described, I'm unfamiliar with it. We're happy to investigate further and provide follow-up information. But as a general rule, Amazon does not discriminate or treat or retaliate against individual workers based on their beliefs, based on their desire to join a union or not to join a union, or as a member of a works council. We absolutely don't tolerate that retaliation, and can guarantee you if there's an allegation that we have, we investigate it fully and make sure that our conduct has been in compliance with the law. Perhaps Mr. Perego knows more about the specific situation. Obviously, it doesn't make sense to go into specifics of an individual in a hearing like this, but maybe Mr. Perego can elaborate.
Mrs. Cronin? Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with David that we don't particularly want to go into specifics here, but as the honourable member mentioned a specific individual, it is correct that our reduction in force plans preceded any information available to us relating to the formation of a union in Slovakia. So it is not correct to assert that this or any individual was caught up in the role reductions because of the plan to form a union in Slovakia. Thank you.
And next speaker is Mrs. Saharova. Yes, please. 1 minute. Yes.
My name is Zaharia.
Sorry, my apologies. Okay. I cannot read.
No,
That's far from me.
I'm not from Russia. I will speak in Greek. Θέλω πρώτα απ' όλα να εκφράσω την αμέριστη συμπαράστασή μου στους εργαζόμενους και τους μέχρι σήμερα 30.000 απολυμμένους της Amazon. Σήμερα ακούμε ξανά το ίδιο επιχείρημα. Φταίει η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη. Η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη, η οποία είναι κοινωνικό κεκτημένο, γιατί εμείς όλοι με τους φόρους μας έχουμε χρηματοδοτήσει την πρόοδο της τεχνολογίας και που θα έπρεπε να νομοθετηθεί ότι οφείλεται να επιστρέφουν στην κοινωνία οι επιχειρήσεις το μέρος της παραγόμενης αξίας που τις αναλογεί. Είναι λοιπόν ηθικά απαράδεκτο η τεχνολογική πρόοδος να μετατρέπεται σε όπλο για μαζικές απολύσεις και αύξηση των κερδών των λίγων. Η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη είναι κοινωνικό αγαθό λοιπόν και πρέπει εμείς οι νομοθέτες να το προστατέψουμε. Το ερώτημα προς τη διοίκηση της εταιρείας είναι: οι 30.000 απολυμμένοι, οι χιλιάδες άλλοι εργαζόμενοι της Amazon και οι εκατομμύρια εργαζόμενοι σε όλο τον κόσμο, σε διάφορα επαγγέλματα, είναι επίσης και καταναλωτές. Είστε σίγουροι ότι έχετε σταθμίσει σωστά το κόστος της επιλογής σας να συμπεριφέρεστε με αυτόν τον τρόπο στο εργατικό δυναμικό της εταιρείας σας? Διότι υπάρχουν πλήστα παραδείγματα που οι εργαζόμενοι όλων των χωρών έδειξαν την αλληλεγγύη τους με μποϊκοτάζ. Απαντήστε μας, μιας και το κόστος κέρδους είναι η μόνη γλώσσα που μιλάτε. Ευχαριστώ.
Mr. Sapolsky.
Thank you for the question. First of all, I do acknowledge the workforce reductions in our corporate staff that we announced today globally. I want to make clear that they are not driven by AI, and we've never said that they are. They are driven by a desire to make sure that our workforce is the right size for the business that we have today. And these decisions are never easy. We're supporting the employees that are affected with outplacement, with training, with generous packages. And you're right, we have to earn the trust of our customers every single day by providing positive service, by providing high-quality products, by getting them to customers fast, by having an operation that people admire. And I'm proud to say that on balance, I'm not here to say that Amazon is perfect. We have room to continue improving, and I'm optimistic, as it sounds like you are, that we all can use AI in this developing technology to continue improving both our company and our society, and Amazon is committed to do that. But I'm also proud that when you do ask our customers around the world what companies they admire, not just use but admire, Amazon always seems to end up in the top 5. Last month, Forbes rated us the 3rd most admired company. So we recognize we have to earn that every single day. It's a very high bar, both from our employees and from our customers, and that's what we strive to do. Maybe Lucy has something to add to my remarks.
Mr. Bereg.
Honourable members, let me complement with a couple of very practical examples. When we have an old site that converts to a robotic site leveraging robotics, we get the support of our employees. They demonstrate that this transition can be a fruitful one, and the quality of jobs in an environment that leverages AI and robotics in logistics will be a much higher quality job. That's what we see. That's what we see through examples. That's what we see through numbers. This is where we get the support, also the work councils that get involved in these transitions. The second thing I want to stress out is that when you use a technology like AI to support health and safety, you can do things that the rest of logistics in the past, including Amazon, could not do. For example, if you use AI, you can allow people to pick products in their core zone, reducing musculoskeletal issues in a sector like logistics. There are a lot of positives that this technology will bring. We just need to train our people to get there. Thank you.
And I have 2 speakers left. First is Mr. Angel. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Listening to the representative of Amazon makes me think of Kristi Noem, the U.S. Secretary for Homeland Security. You make up your own reality. I think Madam Maria Malinowska here didn't lie. I think the hundreds of workers from Amazon we met and we listened to different members of this parliament, they are not lying. So you are making up your own reality. It's good talking to trade unions, but it's a different thing negotiating with trade unions. So my very concrete question, could you deliver us, maybe in written form, how many workers in your warehouses in Germany and in Poland are employed under collective bargaining? Second question to Oliver, maybe. Is there a study on how many jobs have been lost through electronic commerce in Europe and Amazon and through these business models in our villages, in our regions and in our cities? And a third question to Ms. Cronin. You mentioned Luxembourg, where you're laying off 370 people from your headquarters, that you're negotiating with ADEM, which is the Agency for Employment. Are you also negotiating with the trade unions to work out on a social compensation plan, or what we call in French, un plan de maintien dans l'emploi? Thank you.
Thank you. So first for Amazon, Mr. Zapolsky, and then Mrs. Cronin.
Thank you. We employ thousands of safety professionals to inspect and to report on the conditions in our facilities the conditions our workers are reporting. We rely on employees around the company to take careful measurements of how we're doing, and we hold ourselves to a high standard. So I think we strive to obtain and understand the highest quality information about our own operations. It's the only way we can operate. It's the only way we can continue to make progress. And we, as most people will tell you, we are a very metrics-driven company, and we listen to the anecdotes of our employees. With 150,000 employees around Europe, I think it's a difficult argument to claim that e-commerce has put people out of business. I think jobs are constantly changing. The nature of those jobs are changing around the world with new technologies, but it doesn't mean that those jobs are going away for good. New jobs are being created, and as we talked about, when we roll out new technology, we tend to invent new types of jobs, and combined with our upskilling programs like Career Choice, we're enabling our employees to take advantage of those jobs. I'll ask Lucy or Stefano to follow up on your other question.
Yes, Mrs. Cronin was directed to Mr. Perego, okay.
I can take the question on ADEM. So in Luxembourg, the process has been agreed with the staff delegation, and the staff delegation in Luxembourg is constituted by more than 20 members, union representative and non-union representative. And yes, we do care about that process, and we agree the conditions under which this happens together with the staff delegation. I'd like to mention another thing on the comment on e-commerce and job losses. We proved that we engage people, and e-commerce is still a very small segment and percentage of commerce that happen today. And we should keep that into mind when we talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Resik.
Thank you. I'm not aware of a clear study across Europe what is happening in terms of e-commerce. What I know, however, from our commerce unions, that there is a clear shift that in supermarkets, department stores and others, employment is getting lower. Look, for example, in Germany, the closure of the department stores, and that is, of course, one of the effects that e-commerce brings about, that this business model is no longer working, and this has a really big impact on employment in the commerce sector.
So the last question goes to Mrs. Keulemans.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Ben voilà, je pense que cette commission avait attendu 5 ans avant de pouvoir rencontrer les représentants d'Amazon. Le débat d'aujourd'hui nous laissera même pas un goût amer, mais le sentiment d'un dialogue de sourds. Et moi j'ai juste envie de dire une chose aux représentants, en tout cas européens d'Amazon, qui sont, je m'adresserai aux représentants américains, qui sont ici dans la salle, c'est que nous ne ferons confiance à vos déclarations, à vos chiffres, à ce que vous dites sur vos pratiques, ce que vous avez essayé de nous démontrer aujourd'hui, qu'à partir du moment où tout ça sera basé sur une véritable concertation sociale et un constat qui sera posé avec les organisations syndicales. Et quand on parle d'organisations syndicales, moi je viens encore d'entendre qu'effectivement vous négociez non seulement avec les représentants des syndicats et puis les représentants de non-syndicats. Vous savez, dans l'histoire, ce qu'on a toujours voulu éviter, c'est ce qu'on appelle les syndicats jaunes, qui sont là notamment pour casser la vraie négociation sociale et autres. Donc nous vous croirons uniquement lorsque vous aurez effectivement pris la peine de négocier avec les vrais représentants des travailleurs élus par eux et selon les dispositions nationales. Alors je vais dire aussi une chose peut-être aux représentants américains. Monsieur, merci d'avoir été présent parmi nous, même si vous êtes rendu 20 fois en Europe si j'ai bien compris, mais jamais pris la peine de venir ici à ce Parlement. Et si je veux avoir confiance en votre bonne foi sur les déclarations que vous faites, moi j'aurais vraiment beaucoup de questions à me poser sur les représentants qui sont ici devant vous, parce qu'il y a un souci. Soit on ne sait pas qui nous ment, mais il y a vraiment un grand souci effectivement sur les pratiques. Et vu d'ailleurs les pressions qui ont été mises sur les membres de cette commission ici pour organiser cette audition, ou en tout cas pour vous rendre vos badges, il y a effectivement beaucoup de questions à se poser sur les pratiques d'Amazon. Merci.
And Mr. Zapolski. Mr. Zapolski.
Thank you. To that I can only say we are committed to working with this committee and with the European Parliament and with European institutions and member state governments to be as transparent as we possibly can be. We value that interaction. I I will be in Europe again frequently, and I look forward to meeting some of you in person, hopefully. We reiterate the invitation to come to our facilities. Let us show you them. We've done that with 2,000 government officials just within the last year. We've taken hundreds of thousands of people through, so it's not the case that we don't allow people in. We'd love to have you. And I'll let my European colleagues respond to the questions to them.
Mr. Perego.
Madam Chair, honorable members, we have situations where negotiations with trade unions do happen. Let me provide you an example. The NAO process happens regularly every year in France and gets signed and agreed with unions. In other countries, the employees made a choice, like I mentioned in Luxembourg, to be represented by trade union and non-trade union members. And we respect that. Should we not respect the will of our workforce in Luxembourg and impose a line? They chose to be represented. And actually, within the discussions we just mentioned in the previous questions, the agreement was reached, trade unions and non-trade unions staff delegation, to provide support in releasing our employees. It's always a painful process, but it does happen in a democratic way. And we pride ourselves of respecting that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are now reaching the end of this hearing, but I will give our guests the opportunities for 2 minutes of concluding remarks, if you wish to, in reverse order. So starting this time with Mr. Röthig.